Hi there, I'm Cher, and this is Diary of a Pen Nerd. So, I know it's been a hot minute, but I wanted to make a cute little video about everything that I kind of used or got in 2025 to kind of add to my archive of my kind of fountain pen journey on YouTube. And so that's what we will be doing today. I have everything that I used and or acquired in 2025 here. I know I'm a little late, but better late than never, right? So first up, we have the 2 ink bottles that I got this year, and I'm realizing I should have swatched these. Or no, wait. I know. They should be swatched in here. So these are the 2 bottles of ink that I got very early, very beginning of 2025, and they're the only bottles of ink that I got this year. And it is Diamine Lavender and Colorverse Night of Myrtle. And I have them swatched in here somewhere. Let me find it. Here it is. So these are the 2, and then I also got these 2 samples. I bought this from Venice. And as you can see, I was on a bit of a purple kick. And I really liked both of these inks. I had them both inked up at different points in the year, and then I actually have Night of Myrtle in a pen right now. So I really liked these pens, and I also really like that they're smaller ink bottles. I'm not trying to have a ton of giant ink bottles in my stash. I think I would rather have more smaller bottles. I kind of vacillate back and forth on whether or not to add more bottles to my collection, because sometimes I count up all of the milliliters and I'm like, holy cow, this is going to take me 5.5 decades to use up everything. And I am mindful that ink does not last forever. But at the same time, I'm also like, this is my hobby, this is my fun thing, and, you know, it's okay if I have acquired more than I can reasonably use, because it does get use. And so I vacillate back and forth between those 2 schools of thought. But those are my 2 ink bottles. And then we'll go down here. These are all of the pens that I added to my collection in 2025. It was a slow year for me, guys. So this was the first pen that I added to my collection, and it was actually a pen that has been in my collection before, and I was just replacing it because it was important to me. And that is the Kaweco Collection Sport in Dark Olive, which was their like color of the year some years ago, and I really like it. I like this color of green. This is like one of my favorite shades of green. And it's got an extra fine nib that writes splendidly. And so this was in my collection once upon a time, and then I lost it, and then I replaced it, and then very quickly lost that replacement. So I replaced it a 3rd time this year, because I just, like, when I didn't have it, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I knew that it had a place in my collection. It was becoming increasingly difficult to find, so I wanted to jump on that and get this back in my collection. And so this pen I acquired, I think, in either January or February. but there's that. And then the next pen I got was the Pilot Kakuno. This is their family series, and I think this one is red, but it is pink. And this is the mom, and it's got a medium nib. This also writes really well because I didn't have a converter for this. I've only been able to use it with the one ink cartridge that it came with, and then I have a syringe, so I was going to refill that ink cartridge, but it had broken. So I haven't been able to ink this up again, but I actually just got converters. Wait, they were on my desk and now I don't know where they are. It's okay, we'll find them. This also wrote really well, very smooth. I kept hearing really good things about the Pilot Kakunos, and I kept seeing them all over the internet, so I was definitely like influenced to buy this, but I don't regret it, and I think it's a very cute pen. I don't know, I really like the way that this sounds and feels. The capping of it, and it's really cute, and so I'm pretty happy with this pen. And then I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get any more pens this year, but I did end up getting 2 for Christmas, so shout out to my mom for getting me these. This is the Asvine P... oh no, now I don't even know what it's called. The Asvine P... wait, hold on. The Asvine P20. I just had to go check my inventory. And yeah, it's so pretty. It is a piston, which is what the P stands for. I think it's either a fine or a medium. I think it writes like a medium. I have J. Herbon Poussière de Lune, which is probably one of my most used inks this year. One of my favorite inks this year, probably. In it right now, and it writes very nice, very, very smooth, and is just very pretty. So I'm happy with this pen. And then I have this pen, which is the Jinhao X450. There, it says right there. Perfect. This one also is either a fine or a medium, and I'm not really sure, but writes very nicely. I have in this one right now Noodler's 54th Massachusetts, which was actually my very first bottle of ink, but I struggle with this ink. I struggle to get it to write well in a pen, and I don't typically like it or use it very much, but I put it in here, and I really like the way it is writing in here. This one is cartridge converter, but it's very nice. So those are all of the pens that entered my collection this year. I'm happy with all of them. It was a very good year for me. And so that's everything that came into my collection this year. I also got a bunch of ink samples. Wait, where'd that paper go? Oh no, I don't have it. I got a bunch of ink samples from So and So. Most of them were Kitty Ink Pot. I haven't done anything with those except swatch them out on one piece of paper, and so I think I'll make a video of swatching all of my ink samples into my ink journal, which I just set up the other day and I'm pretty happy with. But I did acquire, I think, 15-ish ink samples. So that brings us to these 2 stacks. This is my, these 2 over here were my bullet journals for 2025. Oh, you can't hardly even see them because we're so close. Can we zoom out? Oh. There we go. So these are both from T. Fosse, and I really like T. Fosse. I have another T. Fosse, which is actually the same purple one, as my bullet journal for the next half of the year, the first half of 2026. So this was my bullet journal for the first half of, for the first half of 2025. There it is. And I liked this. I was able to do a lot in it. The paper handles ink well enough. As you can see, it got quite a bit of use. And I use this mostly for school and work, but I also have a lot of fun in my bullet journal. So this is the first one. This one I actually would carry around in my hand, and I realized that it got really dirty and kind of beat up. And so for the next semester, I typically had my bullet journal in my backpack, and so it got less beat up, but I also used it less. So there is that, and I also got ink or a stamp on the front of it by accident. The one vice I have with, or it's not a vice, the one issue I take with the T. Fosse notebooks is their pen loop always comes out and breaks. I really like having a pen loop, but when it breaks, I don't feel very secure putting a pen in there. So this was, okay. The second half of 2025, and I did not use up the entire journal. I'm in a new journal anyways, and I think I'll just use the rest of this for like scratch paper. The second half of 2025 got really chaotic. And so I kind of like, I wasn't using my bullet journal as much. I was kind of just making a very bare bones weekly spread and sticking in my assignments and work schedule, and just so that I could navigate my week, and that was it. I wasn't writing in my journals. I was barely even inking up my pens. All of my pens were old and dried out. And so it was kind of a little bit of a rough time for me, fountain pen wise, but I have since set up a new bullet journal and inked up new pens, and I'm having a really fun time for this first part of 2026. So those were my bullet journals. Wait, I'll show you my October spread, just because October was the last monthly I did in here, and I don't think I did September either. I think it was literally just July, August, and October that I filled out. But I did this cute little like mail thing for October, and I thought it was so darling, but that was the last monthly spread that I did in here. So those are my bullet journals and my pens and ink, and that brings us into my like journals, like my more diary style journals. This was the one that we opened the year with, and it's there's a couple blank pages in the back here. There we go. And it's got kind of like a purplish hue to the pages, so I was primarily using J.R. Bond's Poussière de Lune in here because I thought it matched very pretty, which is why I think that was maybe one of my most used inks this year, is because that's primarily what I used in here. It's got this beautiful I think this is Thomas Kincaid. Yes, it is. Illustration on the front, and it's spiral bound. I'm not usually in spiral bounds. I found that I didn't mind it too much, but I'm not in a hurry to get into another one. So that was my first notebook, and this one I did very little decorating in. Yeah, I didn't put very much in here other than just writing. And this is what I used from January through May. And then for the month of June, I was in this notebook, and I did a little something that I called Journal June. Look at that. And I wrote a journal entry for every day in the month of June in this notebook. This had this kind of like homemade paper in it, and it did not actually take fountain pens very well, so I ended up writing with mostly gel and felt tip in here, which was fine, and also gave me an opportunity to use those. And then this is one that I got really into decorating in, and gluing stuff in and experimenting more with my pages. And so I had a lot of fun doing this, because I was out of school, and so I had more time to play around. And so that was Journal June. And then this is the journal that I jumped into immediately after Journal June and was in for the rest of the year, although I did pretty much stop journaling halfway through October. And as you can see in this one, I decorated a lot. This one had just blank cream pages. And so I was able to do a lot of decorating in here, mostly gluing in, stickers, paint swatches. What's this? Something on the front of my journal. When school picked up, it was a lot harder to keep up with journaling. I've never been very good at daily journaling. I can usually pick it up for a month or... Oh, get that away from the fire a little bit. You can usually pick it up for a month or even a couple of months, but then when things really pick up, I drop it. And so I'm working on trying to have a more consistent journaling habit rather than the like marathon, which is daily journaling, versus the sporadic sprints, which is what I do when I'm not really daily journaling. But this needs to be stacked like this. Those are all of the journals that I used in 2025. I was on a mission in 2025 to try and use up like as many of my empty journals as possible, and while I had anticipated using up more than this, I think 3 is pretty good. And considering everything that was happening this year, I'm okay with this. So, thus concludes my 2025 stationery year in review. And I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you were using or what your favorite thing you got or anything down in the comments below, because that's one of my favorite parts of this is getting to have a conversation. I've been watching other people's who have done much more detailed and I'm sure interesting videos about, you know, their 2025 inks, pens, journals, etc., and have been really enjoying those. So that is all that I have for you today. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed, be sure to stick around and hit that subscribe button, and I will have the next chapter of my story out soon. Bye for now. Love, share.